Fresno. This would be his grandfather. And John and all his brothers and sisters lived in the house that he had, grandparents had. And so they, like I said, they all went different ways. And what happened with the homestead, that beautiful house, I wish you could get in it. What happened? I was just about, I think, 12 years old, 11, when there was, I don't know how many women anymore, but there was 3 of the women of my mother's sisters decided their husbands were successful business people. The one owned this big lumber yard, another one owned a store in town, and the third one owned a produce business, and he'd go into Philadelphia. Well, they decided that he left his son, John's father, to stay in the homestead. And they were living in the homestead. Well, their son-in-laws, my mother's sister's husband, decided that he was not going to make it. His name was Ollie. Now that's John's father. Oliver. Well, my sister swears that he wasn't all right, but I know that we swam in he dived up the creek there, and he would come in from working in the fields, and he'd grab a towel, and we'd see him walking down to the swimming hole to take his bath, with no clothes on, Well, my sister said that is not right. So she just thinks he just, I know,
he was off because he walked down there naked.
Yeah. Well, he didn't bother him, So anyway.
No shame, huh?
No. He didn't bother him. Very religious man, though. Well, I would eat there a lot. I would go there, especially in summertime. They had a summer kitchen I really liked, and she was a good cook, too.
And how far away was this from you?
Well, you'll see when we go there. But it's the next farm, just the next farm.
Next door.
Like I said, they had this, their property was a lot. It had the creek, and then it had all the way over to where my mother and father had too, place. So you'd have to see it. And anyway, the in-laws decided that Ollie couldn't stay there anymore. He wasn't making it, and they didn't have much respect for him. And he had a wonderful wife, a wonderful, hard-working woman. She'd have a baby. I'd be over there, and she'd go upstairs. You wouldn't see her for a while. Next thing you know, she's in the kitchen cooking dinner and hanging up diapers. She went upstairs and had a baby.
The same day?
Yeah. Yep. I don't remember. There must have been a doctor there, but I don't remember seeing him. And all I know is there was a baby upstairs that was crying, and she was in the kitchen hanging up clothes and doing laundry. And she was.
Well, everybody did it at home then, right? I mean, nobody went to the hospital to have a child.
Right. Yeah, my mother almost died at home, having my sister.
So when did people start going into the hospitals?
Well, right now there's some of them that still don't.
That's true, right? Midwives.
They don't trust them.
Yeah.
They have it at home. One gal had it in a bathtub with water. So, But anyway, they told him, and this was really shocking to that whole family, because they were all hard workers, good people. Like I said, there were 7 kids. John was one of them. And they ended up getting them out, telling them they just had to get, the in-laws did, the sisters' husbands did, said, they have to go. We got to sell it.
Oh, okay.
And
so they kicked him out and sold it?
Yeah, and he was farming it, had any other income. So they had to get out, take the kids. They went and lived with some other people for a while. And I don't know what they lived on, but they moved in with some, they were Mennonite people. They were all Mennonite. They moved in with some Mennonite people, took them in. I don't know how they took all those kids, but they did. And then, and his wife, Oliver, which is my mother's brother, Oliver, wife, like I said, was a really, really wonderful person, hard-working person. And when they finally, she went to I get mixed up here. She went to Haycock, which was Ruth Haycock's father, and she went to him because he had a lot of money. This was my mother's youngest sister's husband, and he had this big sawmill, and he did very well. So Oliver and Elizabeth, John's mother and father, she went to this uncle. It would be no, it would be her brother-in-law. Oh, anyway, she went to him and borrowed money from him and bought a place in Doylestown, and I'll show you where it is. And the kids and them, they all finally had their own home, and she also had her sister living with her too a lot of the time. And her sister had polio, and she was in a wheelchair all the time. And Elizabeth always felt she had to take care of Sadie. Her name was Sadie. But Sadie was smart. She had a job doing bookwork for some people, and would go back and forth, go drive the car and everything, and get in her wheelchair when she got there.
Wow.
Yeah. So, anyway, they ended
So
up...
they were relatively well off to have a car, no? At that time?
Well,
right? Or no?
no, I don't know if it went back that far. I don't know if she had a car then, but she did later on have a car.
Family apparently had money if they could loan her money.
Well, that was Uncle Willis Haycock. He was the one that had money and loaned it to her.
So she worked for a laundry service.
Yeah, and it was pretty close where she could walk to it. And her
was
husband,
he farming then?
Oh,
on
no.
the land or no?
No, it's in town.
Oh, okay. When they moved, they were in
And
Doylestown.
her husband, Ollie, the one they said was kind of, he did get some of the Mennonites owned different businesses, and one had a cement block business. So he was there working at that. They hired him.
Okay.
He worked at that. He could work, but he was just a little bit strange. So I liked him. I would go there, and I always had dinner with him a lot of time. Before we'd eat dinner, he'd read a whole passage of the Bible, and we'd pray and everything. He was quite the guy. I liked him, but Lil did, my sister, because we were all friends because we all swam together, and my cousin Grace was my age, and there was another one, Lil, that was her age. Lois and Eunice were her age. So she told me one time, I didn't know about this, I don't know whether you want to hear this, but anyway, she said she stayed overnight at their house. I never stayed overnight. I was there all the time, but I never stayed overnight. And Lil said they were all in bed, the girls, her and Eunice and Lois. They were in bed, ready to go to sleep, and the mother walks in, Elizabeth walks in to talk to them. Then he comes in and stands there with nothing. And and Lil says, I didn't know what to do, and he said, and Elizabeth didn't say anything, and she says, because I don't think she could say anything to him. He wouldn't pay attention. So that's why Lil didn't think he was right. So
he had a reputation for streaking, basically. Huh?
Yeah.
Like to get in the nude.
Well, they had a lot of things that would happen in that family because they had so many children. And the one girl, Lois and Eunice, they were little when I was older than over there. They were little. They were more my sister's age. And the girl, the Lois, he had, back then you had spring houses. Did you know what spring houses?
No.
They were, all you'd see was the roof. Usually it was like a cement roof, and then the bottom part was in the ground. And it was a spring house, what it really was. There was a spring there, so it stayed cool. So that's
the water would come in and keep it cool? Is that the... Okay.
It would go through there. It was a spring. So that's where you'd keep your milk and your stuff all summer. You know, it wasn't like refrigeration, but it was better than nothing. And they had one. Everybody had one of those. We had one at our house. So there was a whole bee deal. He was getting some honey, raising honey, and he had all these bees on top of this spring house, whole bunch. And to get down to the creek, you had to walk past them. So Lois was just a baby, the one that's my sister's age. She was just a baby, and she would crawl and walk. She got down there in mid of all those bees, right in the center. And you never saw anything in your life. I'll never forget
Totally
it.
red everywhere. Swollen.
Totally covered with bees. It was horrible. And Aunt Elizabeth, her mother, started ringing the bell. They had a big bell outside. You rang it for dinner. You rang it for, instead of a fire whistle going off. And she's out there with that. And Ollie comes in, then her husband. And I remember them holding her on the porch. She was holding her and cracking her and whatever she could do. And then they did take her to a doctor somewhere.
She's
was
76.
okay.
I'm
Yeah,
worried
she got
I think it says
okay.
176. We gotta get a
We're
new
tight
one.
back in those days. No. But that's most of
Well, it says
my
we're supposed to
background.
get
It's
a home.
the Bergy family.